Tasty pelcsér ma initially Billiganabashchin, Himachini Dashe, Billiganadashnoa. Welcome back to Res Ball, where I am going to be accused of being a homer here. I don't really care anymore. We're talking about Caleb Love, one of my guys here at the University of Arizona. Again, I am in Tucson. I work for the University of Arizona. Speaking of forgotten guys, we talked about Hunter Styles being the forgotten guy. I mean, Caleb, once he transferred over here into Arizona, people just kind of wrote him off. A lot of good things in the background that people tend to forget about. And you just look at this inefficient volume scorer. There's more to Caleb Love than that, but I understand there are a lot of concerns here. So let's get into Caleb Love here at the University of Arizona, our beloved guard, right about now. So Caleb Love hails from St. Louis, Missouri. He did win Mr. Show Me Basketball. I love that title, by the way. I spent some time in Missouri. I lived in Columbia, Missouri for about 2 to 3 years. Spent a lot of time in Kansas City and a lot of time in St. Louis. Can't say enough about St. Louis. I mean, great sports scene, fantastic people, good barbecue, just a great city all around. I was always welcomed everywhere I went in St. Louis, and there's just so much to do and see. And it's there in Kansas City, I feel like are the basketball cities America, NBA in particular, forgot. Spirit of St. Louis. Kansas City originally had the Royals that ended up, I think, being the Kings is where they ended up going. But both places, man, like so much great basketball, and it's a shame that neither has an NBA team. Stupid Adam Silver and stupid NBA. They want to expand and let's go to Vegas and whatever. It's like, come on, man. Send it to St. Louis, send it to Kansas City because Caleb Love, Jason Tatum, Bradley Beal, there are a lot of great basketball players coming out of St. Louis. I mean, go back further than that to, yeah, St. Louis, fantastic basketball city. And Christian Brothers High School is where Caleb Love played. He played for some guy there, head coach Justin Tatum. That's Jason Tatum's dad, who now is in the NBL. I think he just won Coach of the Year. So nice little tidbit there. Final season at Christian Brothers High School. I mean, Caleb was on fire as he's always been. 26.5 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, 3.1 assists per game, 2.6 steals per game. You can't forget last year in high school, Caleb Love, just a monster scorer. It's why he got 5-star recruiting, went to UNC, had a really disappointing freshman season. A lot of people thought he would be one and done, but went back, worked on the game. And what do you know? As a sophomore, Caleb Love led North Carolina to the title game against Kansas, where they inevitably fell, unfortunately, to that Kansas team. But that's something that I think we all forget about. And it's Caleb Love and just his heat check ability. Like it's second to none. I've seen it in person the last 2 years. Sure, when it's not hitting, you're just like, oh my gosh, it's just putting up bricks. But when he's on fire and his ability to score in boxing, we see punches and bunches. You know, the guys that they can hit you with like 4 or 5 quicker than most guys can hit you with like one or two. That kind of stuff adds up. And it's the same with Caleb. It's just like you just put up punches and bunches shots in a bunch short amount of time. And all of a sudden you're like, that guy scored 10 points. I thought we were up 10 and now we're only up by two. Like that's the kind of microwave scorer he is. And yes, microwave scorer is the exact way to describe Caleb Love. Let's go dive into the stat profile. Caleb Love this past season at the University of Arizona, 17.2 points per game, 4.4 rebounds per game, 3.4 assists, 1.2 steals per game, 0.3 blocks per game, and 1.9 turnovers per game. Shooting splits for Caleb Love were 46.4% from 2-point range, 34% from 3-point range, and then 88.9% from the free throw line. Let's look at that true shooting percentage. True shooting percentage translates into 53.4%. Again, you're gonna see the shot charts bad. If you watched on YouTube, you already got a little bit of a preview of what the shot chart looks like. I mean, the true shooting percentage every year as a freshman, 41.7%. You can't get much worse than that. As a sophomore, 51.2%. Also very bad. Junior year is North Carolina, 49.1%. It's like, oh boy, this doesn't look like an NBA player, but then comes to Arizona. Last year, 54.4% true shooting. And then this year, 53.4% true shooting. Let it not go unnoticed. At North Carolina, Caleb Love maintains super inefficiency. I mean, he's hovering around 50%. in his 2 seasons as a full-time starter, 2 seasons under 50%. But then he comes here to Arizona. Tommy Lloyd and the staff, build a system and everything around him. And he's hovering around 54, 53%. Sure, that's not good. That's not ideal, but the amount of usage and the amount of offense that Caleb has, this is one where I'm like, I'm not gonna say it's fine. I'm not gonna hand wave it off, but gigantic jump. Inefficiency should not go unnoticed because of how Caleb changed his game and how Tommy Lloyd and staff had built the offense both last year and this year. Usage rate is 26.8% last year, 25.8% this year. Career for all 5 years is 26.4%. This is a guy that does need the ball. Like, you cannot take that away, and you cannot just discount that into the scouting report. I do think Caleb can do some stuff off ball. If anything, this year with Jaden Bradley and KJ Lewis, like, it showed he could do more things off ball. And I think that was always something in the profile, but just you don't have this kind of on ball microwave scorer very often that you're going to consistently get close to 20 points per game every season if you give them usage. Again, it's not the most efficient, but that's probably why he gets more usage. And the usage rate went down about a full point. This is his lowest usage, Caleb Love, in his entire 5-year career this last year at Arizona, 25.8%. Part of it is Jaden Bradley emerging. Part of it's having a little bit more supplementary guys, Trey Townsend, Anthony DeLorso, Carter Bryant, Henry Vesar. Those guys didn't get a ton of usage the last 2 guys, but it still is contributing to it. And that's the one part I will super push back on. Caleb's not a selfish kid. He showed this year you can do a little bit more with me on the ball, but he's the primary scorer and number 1, 2, 3 thing in the scouting report. So you've got to be able to still get the ball, put it up. Assist percentage, Caleb's going to be at the point guard, but I still think he's more of a shooting guard. I mean, most evaluators will say that too. The assist percentage has been under 20% basically since his freshman season. He does look to score first and foremost. What should not go uncelebrated also, though, is turnover rate. It went down every single season, and this year, fifth-year senior was a career low, 10.7%. Sure, criticize him for the assist percentage all you want. I understand, but also praise him for the turnover rate continuing to go down. It was 19%, 19.7% as a freshman, terrible. 14.9% as a sophomore, not so great. 12.5% as a junior, like, okay, cool. Last year as a fourth-year senior, 11%. You're like, that's good. And then this last season, 10.7% turnover rate. Fantastic. Anytime you're a primary scorer, anytime you're a volume 3-point shooter, volume scorer, shooter, whatever you want to call it, somebody who just gets up bucket after bucket, and you're 10% or under turnover rate, you are taking care of the ball. The total numbers on this, 127 assists to just 72 turnovers. So missed the 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio by, what was that, like 23 assists? So again, he's really taking care of the ball. That's something that should not go uncelebrated. Kudos to Caleb and being able to still be the primary guy, give up a little bit of usage to Jaden Bradley, some of the other guys on this Arizona team, and then be even better at taking care of the ball. And with all 3 of these guys, Trey Johnson, Hunter Salas, Caleb Love, like, that's honestly the primary thing for me. I'm like, sure, like, the assists, it needs to matter, but I think what matters more is just don't turn over the ball. If you don't turn over the ball, then we can give you more usage, and then we can let you put up the shots, because sure, you might be inefficient, but you're not killing us with the turnover rate. So Caleb Love didn't measure this year at the combine because he measured at last year's G League Elite Camp. So shout out to NBADraft.net, which is where I'm getting this information from. Caleb Love measured in at 6 feet 2 3/4 inches tall without shoes, weighed in at 206 pounds, and then has a 6'8" 3/4 inch wingspan. So, I mean, that's bigger than a lot of the guards that we've looked at so far. That's bigger than both the guards we looked at last time, which all of a sudden I'm blanking on here. I think it was bigger than pretty much all the guys we looked at last time with Fears, Phylon, and I know it's longer than Nemhart. No offense to Nemhart, for small guy, 5'10", calling the 5'11" guy small guy, but that was better than all those other guards we looked at. So super plus wingspan. That's like a 6 inch plus wingspan. Really good. You can work with that. I'm not going to argue for Caleb being like a defensive monster or anything, but the steals have been around 40 the last 2 years. 42 steals last year, 43 steals this year. I think he consistently wants to get in the passing lanes. He is a little bit like with the Jeremiah fears of like, oh, I'm going to jump this all the time. And not always necessarily like being in the structure of the defense, which is more worrisome as a fifth-year player when you still continue to be a gambler. But Arizona's defense has still been fine with him there. It's never been imploded by this thing. I think Tommy Lloyd and staff leaned into that of like, okay, let's find guys behind you that can help you out and let you jump, and then also pick your spots. I think he's done a really good job here at Arizona, where Tommy Lloyd and staff let him pick his spots, and there were less times. Not to say there were remarkably less times, but there were less times here at Arizona where Caleb Love decided to go gamble for a steal and then just like ruined the entire defense. So he does have good hands. He does use that wingspan to really get in there and get steals. So that's a good indicator in the whole profile. Again, the wingspan, 6'8" and 3/4 inch plus 6 inch wingspan. Definitely something to consider in the whole profile. Oh boy, this shot chart's not good. You know, where it began 59.4% at the rim on 106 shots, 38.8% in the paint on 80 shots, 64% in the mid range, or excuse me, 34.4% in the mid range on 64 shots, 33.5% from above the break threes on 218 threes, and then 61 shots from the corners, 37.7%. He wastes shots inside the 2 point arc. That's just who he is. Like, he's going to drive. He's going to be aggressive. He has to keep putting the pressure on the defense. This is less the case than Hunter Salas with like, look at the context, because the context here, production wise, it's around the same issues with a Hunter Salas, but in terms of role and system, it's, oh my gosh, it's so much better than a Hunter Salas. Jaden Bradley was really the only reliable offensive option the entire year. He ended up scoring 12.1 points per game, but his shooting splits 51.2% from two. So he needed a lot of shots inside the 2 pointer. He took more shots per game than Caleb. 7 shots per game in 2 point territory for Jaden Bradley versus Caleb was 6.8. Look at the totals on this. So yeah, Jaden Bradley 133 total 2 point shots versus Caleb's 116. And then after that, we had like KJ Lewis, who, forget it, like barely took threes. And when he did, it's disastrous. 18.8% for KJ Lewis from threes. So those were your other quote unquote reliable offensive options. Bradley, who needs more 2 point shots than you do, not helping you space out the floor with 2.1 3 point attempts per game. And then KJ Lewis, 6.5 2 point attempts per game, 10.8 points per game, and then 18% 3 point shooter. You begin to see my issue. It's why I love KJ Lewis. I think his defense is awesome. I think he might be like a super small ball four type of thing. You cannot say enough good things about his toughness, ability to get in there, get his nose dirty, get to the free throw line. But the difference between taking KJ out of the starting lineup and giving his minutes more like Vesar and to Carter Bryant, a little bit more like Anthony Del Orso, like that's a really big difference in how teams had to defend Arizona. And where Caleb started to do a lot better is when you don't have your two other primary guys in Jaden Bradley and KJ Lewis, who don't need to be guarded from 3 point range, and you have to supplement as the 3 point shooter. I mean, just look at this: 288 threes for Caleb Love. The next closest guy was Anthony Del Orso with 121, and then after that, Carter Bryant with 105. Those other guys shot really well. Anthony Del Orso, I think, sneaky sleeper for next year. Really good 3-and-D type of dude. 41.3% on those 121 shots. I mean, he probably was the second most important player on this Arizona team. Consistent on both ends, not super flashy, but able to maintain good efficiency. 50.6, 41.3, 90.2% from the free throw line. Like, fantastic shooting splits. That helped out everybody, and that's why he played more and more as the season went on. Same with Carter Bryant, and why I'm so high on him, still have him at 13 and should be a lottery pick. I believe I heard one of the no ceilings guys had him at like 8. So I'm like, yeah, it makes sense because again, he just works Carter Bryant and the way he stabilized this lineup and helps somebody like a Caleb Love to not have to take 288 threes and still maintain average 34%. Again, I hope you see my point here is that Caleb Love, good teammate, again, gave up more time to Jaden Bradley and KG Lewis to operate inside the 2 point arc. They kind of play his same position too. Jaden Bradley's more of a passer, but still kind of like this combo-ish guard. KG Lewis, not much of a passer, so more of like a shooting guard, small forward, small ball, small forward. And then he also did have to be the supplementary shooter to those guys. Again, Caleb has a really good role malleability as a guard, combo guard. Again, combo guard can be kind of a put down sometimes, but I think with Caleb, it's good. It's like he's a good enough passer that you can play him at point, and he's a good enough shooter that at small forward he can supplement these other guys, and he's a microwave scorer either way that you know he's going to get buckets. I want to break down just when conference play started because really, I mean, this whole Arizona team, as I mentioned with Carter Bryant, it's like look at the non-conference games versus the conference games. The non-conference games were a struggle for everybody. They lost to Wisconsin, they lost to Duke, they lost to Oklahoma, they lost to West Virginia, they lost to UCLA, especially those last three, Oklahoma, West Virginia, UCLA, they had no business losing to them. They should not have lost to them. And it was at that point that everybody, again, here in Tucson was like, well, I guess we're going to look forward to next year, but you cannot say enough good things about Tommy Lloyd and the staff and Caleb Love. Caleb Love being the tip of the spear, the one drive on the tank, whatever you want to say. I mean, you're not driving the tank with basketball. Tank is probably the bad word. He's the one leading the charge, is all I'm saying. After conference play, non-conference play ends, conference play started on December 30th, 2024 against TCU. I mean, even in that game, Caleb Love came out swinging, scored 33 points, 6 of 6 from 2 point range, 5 of 11 from 3 point range, 6 of 6 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and no turnovers. So you could tell right off the bat, he's like, I mean business, and we're not going to go down like this. And a Big 12 now that Arizona moving over to the Big 12, a Big 12 that's super expanded. We got Iowa State, we got Houston, BYU, Colorado, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, like even the middle tier teams, no joke, right? Conference play starts, final 26 games for Caleb Love. The team goes 18-8. Again, ridiculously great turnaround compared to where they were in the beginning. And Caleb Love in these final 26 games shoots 43.7% from 2 point range, 36% from 3 point range, and then 89.3% from the free throw line, 18.1 points per game, 4.6 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 1.2 steals, 0.3 blocks, and then 2 turnovers. It's 96 assists to just 52 turnovers. All those are positive indicators, especially the 3 point shot. 203 threes at 36% as the guy, number one option, as the number one floor spacer. Also, yeah, it just points back to, bro, you're wasting too many 2 point attempts. 43.7%. That's not a good percentage for anybody. And I don't know that Caleb necessarily has a go-to shot in 2 point range. If you look, 64 in the mid-range, 80 in the paint, and then 106 in the rim, at the rim. I think it's probably more at the rim is where Caleb's instincts want him to go. But this team didn't really have like a pick and roll guy, didn't have an elite at the rim guy like Umar Ballo, or in previous seasons with other guys, right? So Caleb had to take a lot more of put pressure on the rim, put pressure on the rim without anybody else drawing away from that. That's not to excuse the 59.4%, but at least at the very minimum, like his instincts are get to the rack, get to the rack, get to the rack. I think that's always where he's trying to go. Again, his runner floater game is there, but it just didn't fall last year. I think out of this bunch, like they all have a bag. Trey Johnson, Hunter Sallis, Caleb Love, and that's part of the reason when I grouped them together. Like there are other prospects that are more role player or more like, oh, you know, they've worked on this. All three of these guys, Trey Johnson, Hunter Sallis, Caleb Love, are what I call playground players. Or like if you go out on the blacktop, if you go into a gym somewhere, like they're cooking everybody because they have every single move that you want. They can go off the dribble, they can go off ball, they can shoot runner floaters, they can get to the rim, they can shoot a mid range. They've got 3 point shot. Like they can do everything. It's just with Caleb, there was less guys pulling things off him, and he did have to operate with those two other guards. So that's some of the efficiency. But I mean, he's a fifth year guy. I can't sit here and be like, well, you know, team construction, blah blah blah. No, this is who he is. So that's part of the. I don't say. I mean, like, I understand if you saw this and you didn't click on it, or you got this far and you were hoping there was going to be more of an argument against the inefficiency. That's just who Caleb Love is. And there are certain guys in the NBA that's just who they are, but they still are successful and they still find a way to make it work in the NBA. One of those guys to me is somebody that I comp to Caleb Love here. I went back and forth between Trey Mann and Campaign. At first, I kind of lean more towards Trey Mann, but I mean, Trey Mann went in the first round. That's not where I'm arguing for a Caleb Love to go. I have Caleb Love in the 50s. I believe I have him at 51. Yeah, so I still have Caleb Love as a draftable guy at 51, just for all those reasons of like you saw he was able to play with more guys. He still led a very successful Arizona team both seasons last year. They won over 20 games this year. They won 24 games. Again, they made it to the Sweet 16. Previous season, they won 27 games and they made it to the Sweet 16 again. It's like, it's not like this guy is just out here getting buckets and not doing much of anything. No offense to Hunter Sallis, but like Hunter Sallis didn't have this kind of team success as well being the man. That's why I say again, his contracts is way worse because even the Jaden Bradley and KJ Lewis, like they contributed to the overall team and did other things to help Caleb along the way. And you had the Anthony Olorsos and Carter Bryant, Henry Vesar. But to the comp, and Trey Mann, like, didn't really come in as a passer. He is wired more to score and not really pass. Whereas I think Caleb has started to play point guard since he was like a sophomore in high school. But you can still tell it's like not his natural position. So again, why I say point guards are born, they are not made. Another great instance here where you can tell Caleb's worked at it year after year after year, but why I harped on the assist percentage, it never got better than the freshman season. And it's always hovering around like 18%, 18.8%. It was what it was all 4 years or all 5 years, excuse me, as the average. But you see the turnover rate go down. So he just got better at knowing how to maintain the playmaking while also cutting down on the turnovers. I think this does compare more favorably to a campaign. Campaign in about the same size, 6'3", less though 183, I think is what campaign is listed at. But I think he took a while, and you can hear any podcast with Pan Campaign that he's talked on of like what he thought it took to be an NBA player and then understanding how to play a role, which I think Caleb learned these last 2 seasons at Arizona. Sure, they gave him like the keys and they made him the man last year, but this year you can see he really turned the corner, became more of somebody who can be at the center, but also fall into a role when the team needs to, mainly being that primary floor spacer, while also leading the team in a bunch of different statistical categories. And again, this is why I say at the beginning, why maybe he could be accused of being a homer. I mean, obviously here in Tucson, loving all my Arizona players, but again, Caleb has so much good in background. Whether it was the time of UNC leading them to the final against Kansas, here at Arizona, like making these super successful teams, being the guy and the engine that led this turnaround at the beginning of the year that looked disastrous, still being a really good floor spacer for his teammates when they all need it. And then to me, the thing that I believe in most is the young man. Talk to any of his teammates, man. He is a fantastic leader, super confident, never wavers. And in the NBA, when you're an undersized guard like this, number one, you need the plus wingspan. Again, don't forget 6'8" 3/4" plus 6 wingspan. And you need that confidence to just be like, I know I'm cold, but I got to keep firing away because I know how the defense is going to play me. I know how it's going to make the other team react. And the minute I stop being me and I stop being aggressive like this, then forget it. Who else do they have to guard? That's really the point to hammer home is Caleb always understood I'm the leader. I have to do this. I have to put up these points. The system is built around me. If I don't maintain this, if I don't continue to put pressure on the defense through my offense, then none of this works. But Caleb loved the young man, very good worker, super great teammate, man. I mean, you can't say enough good things about the kid. Some things to look at for YouTube and video recommendations. CBS Sports has a nice little interview on Caleb Love and why he still hates Duke. Oh, my guy. Anybody that hates Duke, you're my guy. I mean, I grew up with Christian Laettner and all that. So, it is what it is. CBS Sports, about 2 months ago, Arizona's Caleb Love explains why he still hates Duke. Just search that there. In terms of other players and other people out here to look at, Whistle has a nice little video. Caleb Love's blueprint from going to college basketball star to the NBA. Whistle is the YouTube channel. Check that out. It's about 5 minutes. And then Phoenix Sports, you would type in PHNX Sports is what they're listed at. I mean, they do a fantastic job with any Arizona team, whether it's ASU, whether it's us, Arizona, and Cardinals, Diamondbacks. Like, they do a great job covering all these things. Locked On Wildcats is another one there. Those guys do a really good job with a bunch of different interviews and things on the guys here at Arizona, ASU, anybody in the Arizona area. And then if you didn't see Caleb Love's nasty poster dunk versus Cal last year, go check that out. I think Caleb's underrated athlete as well. Probably something that doesn't get really celebrated. I don't know why. I mean, when he did test at the combine, the G League Elite Camp anyway, he had the top time of 10.6 seconds in the pro lane drill. He finished 7th with a 35-inch running vertical. And he was 3rd with 30.5 inches in the standing vertical, 10th and 3/4 sprints at 3.14 seconds. I mean, those are good numbers, man. I think it does always show up. You see him throw down dunks every now and then. You see him play with super speed and quickness. I mean, no pun intended. Caleb's got all the love from me. 51 again, anywhere from 46 to 60 at the end of the draft. This is the kind of guy you want to buy into. Like I said with Brian Emhart, super production that you can scale back. The guy understands who he is as a player, and you're not taking a big time gamble, which is not what you want to do from 46 to 60. In my opinion, you want to find a guy who knows who he is and understands how they can contribute to being an NBA role player, which I think Caleb absolutely 100% can do. Don't forget about Caleb Love, man. Number 51 overall guy for me this year in the NBA draft. Next time, we're going to start a whole new position group. So stay tuned for that. We'll catch you next time on it.